Mr. Wilson, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mr. Ballard. So, today, we're talking about picking the right instrument for your body. Because anyone can play any instrument for the most part. There are a couple situations where that's not true, but for the most part, anyone can play any instrument. But these factors that we're going to go over make you better or worse at one or the other. So we just want to give you some information so you know going in maybe some strengths or weaknesses you might have as you choose your instrument.
And it's important to know that normally we wouldn't do this in a video. What we would normally do is come around to the elementary schools and let all the fifth graders come up to the tables where we have mouthpieces and head joints and things, and we'd sanitize them, and then you would get to try them and see if you can make a sound, if you can make a decent sound without too much trouble. Because what ends up happening is people with different facial structures, jaw structures, and so forth fit particularly well for some instruments than others. And that's how we usually find out this process. But the best we can do right now, because we can't do that, is by kind of talking you through some of those different structures and faces.
Yeah, so the first one is an overbite. Now, an overbite is where if your teeth come out further on the top than the bottom, and a slight overbite, well, and I have that too. A slight overbite is pretty normal,
yeah.
But we're talking about maybe a more pronounced one than average. And people with an overbite generally are gonna have strengths in low brass, so like baritone, tuba, and trombone. But they're gonna have some weaknesses in trumpet. Trumpet needs it to be straight off the face, and that's hard when your teeth aren't close to being in the same spot.
Yeah, and in contrast to that, we have the underbite. An underbite generally works well for trombone, but is not going to work very well for trumpet or flute. If you can imagine trying to blow across a Coke bottle, but your bottom lip is kind of pushing the Coke bottle farther from your lips, that's going to make it way harder to play. It also kind of upsets the balance of the lips and the angle of the trumpet.
Yep. And so our next one is a flat top lip. So if you have a very flat top lip, then flute is definitely something to look into. When I say flat, I don't just mean on the top, but I mean on the bottom surface of your top lip. If that top lip has a smooth surface to it, then that's a great thing for flute. There's nothing it's going to make you worse at, but flute is something you should look into.
The next one I'm going to go to is both lips are thin. If you have a thinner sort of lips, they fit better in trumpet or French horn mouthpieces. French horn mouthpieces are quite, let me show you actually, so you can see what I mean. It's kind of difficult for me even, but it's got a very small opening, which means your lips actually, those thin lips fit into a French horn mouthpiece better, and the trumpet mouthpiece is only a little bit larger in diameter than a French horn mouthpiece. So it makes sense that the smaller, thinner lips fit well into those. And when we look at French horn players who are able to more easily produce a nice, beautiful, open sound, it does follow a lot about lip structure.
Yeah. So next we've got both lips are medium, and there's really nothing wrong with having medium-sized lips. You can kind of do a little bit of everything. You're not going to really have a strength or a weakness in any specific instrument.
Yeah, great. And the last one we're going to finish with, I'm actually going to grab a tuba mouthpiece here to show you this one. Earlier, when the tuba and I think the tuba video, we talked about how the lips are like the reed on a clarinet, and a smaller reed fits a smaller mouthpiece. Well, when your lips are the vibrating medium, the thing that's making the sound, this massive mouthpiece as compared to like a French horn, you need a larger reed, essentially. If you have really thin lips and you're trying to play a tuba, it gives you a really thin sound. And it's just so much more difficult. So a trombone or a baritone or a tuba all have larger diameter mouthpieces which fit non-thin lips.
One thing that I forgot to put on our list that we're doing is a teardrop shaped lip. So if you let your mouth hang open and you notice there's a little bump right in the middle of your top lip, that's called a teardrop lip. And what that does is when you blow out air as if you're blowing on a flute, it changes the shape of that air and it makes it really hard to make sound. So if you have a teardrop lip, we encourage you to look at maybe like clarinet or saxophone. Those instruments do similar things musically to what the flute does, but you're not going to be held back by that. And that
because that top lip actually is sitting on top of a hard rubber mouthpiece and doesn't even matter anymore. It plays very little active role in making sound. But yeah, that little bump essentially just splits the air when you're trying to focus it down the middle. it diverts it from the actual strike plate.
And as always, guys, these are not hard and fast rules. Mr. Ballard and I both have had people with larger lips play trumpet. We've had people with smaller lips play tuba. We've had people with different shaped faces play clarinet and flute and saxophone. So it's not hard and fast, but if you're trying to decide which instrument's right for you, then look at yourself in the mirror, look at your face, and think what goes best with that. And then maybe listen to some recordings of some of those instruments and see which one suits your fancy.
Yeah, nice job, man.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, please email Mr. Ballard at Wester FCS or email Mr. Wilson, myself at East McDowell, and we will be happy to answer any and all of your questions.
Have a great day, friends.